Today I'm going to show you a quick everyday look for mature skin using powder foundation. Shocking coming from me. I know. Now before we get started, we have to meet our model. So this is the beautiful Sharon. She's in her mid-50s and this is how she looks with no makeup on. She has her brows and her eyeliner tattooed on, just in case you noticed that. So we're going to be working with that in mind. And I'm going to be giving you guys a few tips in case you also have permanent makeup on as well. A very special thank you to my friends at Jane Iredale for sponsoring a part of today's video. Let's get started. So after applying our skincare prep products, right, like our serum, our moisturizer, our under eye cream, our sunscreen, and letting that absorb into the skin properly, we can get started on the eye makeup first. So in order to prep the eyes to do the eyeshadow, we want to do something to even out the discoloration. And today I chose to do that with concealer. It's a really easy way to do it. We all have concealer, right? So all you want to do is apply your concealer from your lash line all the way up to your brow bone, completely even that out, and then set it with a translucent powder. Now it's time for shadow. You guys are going to love this shadow look because it's kind of high impact, but very natural at the same time, and also very easy. So what I'm gonna use is the PurePressed eyeshadow palette in the color Triple Cognac. This is a beautiful palette for daytime looks because you kind of have these very staple, very flattering tones that work on pretty much everyone. Okay, so the way that I use a trio like this is I always start with the mid-tone shade. So that's the middle shade right here. I dip a really fluffy crease brush into that shade and I buff it into the crease. And what we're doing there is we're just creating a separation from the crease to the lid. We're creating a little bit of a contour there, right? But it's soft, it's not too much, it's not overdone. And then I take a flat lid shader brush. So this is a little bit of a different shape, right? Because it's flat and a little bit more dense. And I dip into this tone. This is the most beautiful kind of pinky vanilla tone. And it also has some light reflecting properties in it. And I just pack that on the lid by tapping or stippling, okay? Whenever we're building up the lid color with a little bit of shine, a little bit of sparkle, a little bit of shimmer, we want to do that in pressing or packing motions. Now you can easily stop here if you just want to do two colors, but there's also this third color that I think comes in handy a lot. If you want to do something a little bit deeper, and this is not dramatic by any means, but it adds that slight bit more contour, right? A little bit more depth to the eyes. Then after you use this transition color, you can deepen it with this color, which is a little bit darker. So all I do is I go back to that initial crease brush. You really just need one crease brush for this look. You dip into that deeper brown and then you buff directly on top of the transition color. And as you can see, all you get is this really nice, light, bright, fresh lid with a little bit of shadow in the crease, right? To kind of separate the two zones. Now this section I think is gonna intrigue a lot of you guys. I then took my Makeup by Mario palette. This is the Master Mattes, the neutral palette, but in the cool tones. I decided on this day to actually use this gray color right here as her eyeliner. I use shadows as eyeliners a lot when I'm doing daytime looks. In fact, I actually did it today on my own eye. It still creates definition, but without any harshness. And it's also much, 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 much faster to apply than having to put in a waxy liner, blending it out, making sure it's not streaky, making sure it's in the right position. All of those things, right? If you use an angled brush or even a smudge brush and you dip into the shadow color of your choice and you just kind of buff it into the lash line, you'll get a very similar definition without the harshness. Now, the reason that I chose this color is because it worked really well with her eyelid tattoo. So her eyelid tattoo has faded, as they do, they all do that, and it's gone a little bit gray. So a color like this on top of it is perfect. Whereas if I tried to use a brown on top of it, it might have been a little bit hard to camouflage it. I could have done a black, it would have been a little bit harsh for daytime. So a gray was that perfect color for the situation. Another reason, again, is because of her coloring, right? So Sharon has cooler skin tone. You can see the pink in her skin when she doesn't have makeup on. She has very blue eyes, which are also a cool tone. She has light blonde hair and she tones her hair to a cooler tone. So all of that together creates a really harmonious and very flattering effect. So if you are toned like Sharon, I really recommend when you do your eye makeup next that you reach for a color like this, like a slate gray, instead of maybe a brown. I think we often almost always reach for browns. Browns typically, not always, but typically are very warm. So they worked quite well on people who look like me, right? With warm hair, warm eyes, warm everything. But this gray is kind of the brown of the cool skinned person. You know, it's the soft liner of the more fair skinned woman. Now's the time to talk about the Jane Iredale Powder Foundation. This foundation, I've mentioned it a couple of times. I am a huge fan of this foundation. I actually learned about it from my friend Lisa J, right? You guys know we're all friends, we're all so connected, and we give each other a lot of tips and tricks, and she is in love with this powder foundation. I've made so many videos about how I do not like powder foundation for mature skin, and oftentimes it's because most powder foundations look like this. Okay, they look very dry. They settle in fine lines. They really age the skin. They're easy to apply, but you don't get any benefit from them. You know what I'm saying? This powder foundation is completely different than any powder foundation I've ever used on the market. It is absolutely beautiful. It looks beautiful on the skin. So I'm gonna show you a few tricks for how you can apply it to make it literally magical, okay? You really need to do 3 things to make this magical, to make this look so skin-like, so luminous, so glowy. Make it look pretty much just like liquid foundation, but you know, even better actually. So what we're gonna do is we are gonna start by priming. So Jane Iredale has some primers that again are phenomenal. The one that I used on Sharon was the Smooth Affair Brightening Face Primer. This one specifically is really good for helping to prevent moisture loss, for helping with skin elasticity and firming. It has a nice bright dewy finish, okay? But there are 2 other options that you can get on the website. So I wanna let you guys know that because you should choose the one that works best for your skin type. There's a mattifying one as well for oil control, and there's also a glowy one for increased radiance, okay? So depending on what you want to choose the primer that works best for you. After that, really, it's so simple. All you wanna do is take the brush, right? The Jane Iredale brush, you wanna pick up the product, and then you wanna buff it into the skin. Now, the finish of this can be very sheer, or it can become pretty full coverage, okay, depending on how much you build it up. On Sharon today, I did build it up quite a bit, and as you can see, she just completely got rid of her redness, her discoloration, but it looked totally skin-like. It's, I don't know, it's magical. It's crazy. It's just it's a magical product. And then after using this guy, I went in with one of my favorite concealers ever. I've talked about it on the channel several times, and it is the Jane Iredale Pure Match Liquid Concealer. I've talked about this in unsponsored videos quite a few times. I've made shorts about it. I really like this concealer, especially if you have fine lines around the eyes. You need coverage, but you don't want it to settle so much. This is beautiful. As you can see here, I applied it in the tear duct area. I dragged it down the nose, and then I used it in the corners to lift. Sharon also has a little bit of redness right here in the center of her cheeks. So I also kind of dragged the concealer down a little further than I normally would or than I normally do, just so that we had a really flawless canvas and super long wear time. I wanted to brighten that area, that center of her face, but I did it in a way that still looked very natural. All right, let's move on to brows. So with permanent makeup, again, the brows tend to cool down a lot. They tend to fade into a much cooler color. So I actually used the Maybelline Express Brow Ultra Slim Pencil in the color medium brown. I bet you're wondering why. She's a blonde. Why wouldn't you use taupe, right? I've come across this issue several times when people have permanent makeup, and it's because the permanent makeup then is a base that I need to paint on top of, or it's a base that you then need to paint on top of. If you don't paint on top of it, the look honestly doesn't look finished. I always see permanent makeup as the beginning of the makeup, but you can't really not wear makeup because you have permanent makeup if you want the look to be flawless, okay? You still need to work on top of it, but now you have a guide, and you also have brows if you're swimming or, you know, not wearing makeup at all. So it's not like you shouldn't get it. I have a lot of feelings about permanent makeup. We'll get into that in another video. But the fact of the matter is that we have to paint on top of it, and taupe wouldn't work because this is too dark for taupe. So using the color medium brown was actually perfect. Okay, as you can see, when I drew it on her, it wasn't harsh or too much at all. It looked really, really nice on her. Now, another thing I wanna say is when you have permanent makeup like this is like a powder ombre style permanent makeup, you can't really draw hair strokes because the under base is already filled in. If I were to draw hair strokes on top of it, the hair strokes likely wouldn't really show up. So in this case, you just have to be okay with having a more filled in look and not like a fluffy hair stroke look. Okay, next, let's move on to bronzer. So for the bronzer, I am using the Jane Iredale Glow Time Bronzer Stick in the color Scorch. This blends like a dream. I actually have it on myself today. I find that it actually works on so many different skin colors, which is amazing. When I use a bronzer like this, all I am doing on these quick daytime looks is I am adding small amounts of dimension to the face. This is not a heavy highlight and contour. We're not trying to change the structure of the face, but we're adding a sun-kissed glow and we're adding depth, okay? And I'm doing that by applying it on the forehead, carving out the cheekbone, kind of dusting it along the jawline, just to give her that little bit of warmth. You know, like she was out a little too long in the sun. She got a little bit of color and she looks super healthy and bronzy and glowy, but without the sun damage. Then right after that, I went back into our eyeshadow palette. I took that same transition color. This is always what I do, right? This is the thing I do. And I took a smudge brush and I smudged that under the lash line. This is really going to make her eyes look significantly bigger, okay? Don't be afraid of adding shadow under the eyes as long as that shadow is soft, okay? I don't recommend heavy black liner. I don't recommend very waxy pigments, you know, if you're trying to give yourself an open eye effect. But if you smudge in a transition shade, a bronzer shade, any of that, it's gonna open up your eyes and it's also gonna camouflage those really fine lines around the lash line, which is amazing, right? We're throwing those into the shadow, literally. Okay, let's talk about mascara. So as you can see here, I'm applying loads of mascara to her top lashes. Now, when I was doing makeup, Sharon was telling me that she doesn't like wearing mascara on her bottom lashes. She finds it gets messy. She finds it can make her eyes look droopy. All of these things are valid. Now, I am a big fan of bottom lash mascara, and you guys have seen me do it on every model. I don't think I've ever really done a look without bottom lash mascara on any model that I brought into the studio. But there's definitely some reasons why you would choose to not wear mascara on the bottom. So I want to go through some of those reasons right now. If you have very dark circles under your eyes and you're not a pro at makeup and color balancing, brightening, setting, all of that, what can happen sometimes is under eye mascara can actually bring attention to the darkness under the eyes, can make the under eye circles look a little bit darker. Okay, so that's one reason a lot of people don't wear it. Another reason is that it can draw the eye line down sometimes and make the eyes look a little bit droopy, especially again, if you're not really into makeup and you know all the other tricks, right? So if you're just applying it, it could make your eyes look a little bit droopy. And then of course it can smudge if you have very watery eyes. So I wanted to take that into consideration since so many of you guys don't want to use mascara under the eyes. That's completely valid. I wanted to show you how this would look if you didn't. So what I did instead, okay, after letting the concealer breathe, dry down a little bit. As you guys can see, I let it breathe, I let it dry down. I then lightly set under her eyes. And then I realized that I needed still, without the mascara, I needed more definition. It just didn't feel done to me. So the way that I got more definition is I actually dipped back in to my Makeup by Mario palette and I used that gray color again. And I brought it, since it was on the top lash line, I brought it under, but I only went about 1/3 of the way. I didn't even go halfway into the eye. I really kept it here on the outside to create like more of an almond and more of like a bigger eye look. It really did create so much definition and make the eyes look big, defined, but without any risk of the mascara then bleeding under the eyes. Finally, let's get into our finishing touches. This is where all the magic happens, right? So for our finishing touches, of course, I applied a really beautiful rosy blush to the cheeks to totally lift up the face. This is the PurePressed blush in the color Barely Rose. This is beautiful, you guys. Look at how beautiful and fresh this looks. But then I want to show you another really cool product that you've likely never seen that I was really intrigued by. This is the Jane Iredale Lip and Cheek Stain in the color Forever Pink. This is a really cool product because it's a hydrating cheek and lip balm, but it's pH activated. So when you put it on, it goes on actually totally sheer. You don't really see the color. And then as the minutes go on, it doesn't take long, it takes like about a minute, you'll see it developing into a color that's custom for you, right? So when I put it on, it will be a different color than when you put it on. It's beautiful. Honestly, it's beautiful. It's super easy. It's natural. It's moist. You still get that beautiful pop of color. You don't need a mirror to apply it. You can throw it in your purse, put it on when you're driving, you know, with the little mirror. It's one of those products that's very simple and easy. And I'm feeling like that's what we want right now, right? We just want something simple and easy and quick. And I'm here for that life. You know, as much as I love makeup, I really do, I'm here for that life. And finally, to wrap it all up, to turn this product into the magical unicorn product that it is, the mind-blowing foundation product that it is, we need hydration spray. Okay, this is so nice, it's not even funny. Oh my gosh, the smell of this is delightful. It is so, so nice. Now, this product does a few things. So it's hydrating, which is amazing. It's also going to make your makeup last longer, like any setting spray does. But what I find that's extra cool about this is that this somehow turns this product into this perfect skin-like miracle finish, okay? This is the thing that basically melts the powder into the skin and gives this completely flawless, perfect finish. The combination of these three, this is the secret sauce. And if you're a natural makeup girly, it is so insanely easy to use this. This is how Sharon looked when she came into the studio with no makeup on. And this is how she looks with a 5 to 10 minute little glam transformation. Before you guys go, I want to show you one more thing. Sharon is the mother of the groom in a wedding this year, and I get to do her hair and makeup, which I'm very, very excited about. And I want to show you guys something. Sometimes we feel uncomfortable wearing a lot of makeup, right? Especially as we get older. I hear it from my older clients all the time. I'm just not that comfortable wearing makeup. I don't feel like I look better when I put on a lot of makeup. Oftentimes I feel like I look worse. Those are completely valid concerns. And if you feel that way, even if you're going to a special event or a special occasion, you should really do your makeup or get your makeup artist to do your makeup in a way where you actually feel beautiful. Not what, you know, is recommended, not what people say, in the way that you're going to look back and you're going to feel good. And if that's natural, then it's natural. So here is Sharon when she is glam to the nines, okay? She wanted this really Marilyn Monroe old Hollywood hair. She's wearing her incredible gown. And this is how it looks even when she's super done up. You know, it's fresh, it's natural, it's beautiful. You can wear this to the grocery store, but if you play up other elements of your look, like your jewelry, your hair, your outfit, all of that, you can certainly also wear these to events if that's how you feel the most beautiful. Thank you guys so much for watching and for always dealing with me over explaining every single thing. This video's over.